Hi, welcome to another video from Back to Basics Bushcraft. Today I wanted to discuss a bushcraft belt kit option, kind of a minimal thing you would carry with you, carry it with you into camp, and even on just a simple, day hike without any gear, planning to return back to your car and go home. So generally, at a minimum, I always carry a belt knife, and I'll also carry a pocket knife as well as a big lighter. So that would be minimum I would ever carry. Of course, everyone knows I'm a Maarten fan, so it's either the Maarten number 2 Classic or the Garberg that I tend to carry daily. But these are some things that are probably overlooked until you need them and you don't have them. And one of those items I will discuss here. A sharpening stone. It's kind of pointless to own a cutting tool if you don't have a way to maintain it. And something I've noticed doing reading on the Viking culture, and a lot of history points to them carrying a small honing stone on their belt, and this happens to be the remnants of an old Japanese whetstone. It began to saddle because I'd had it for a while and used it so much, so I was able to score it with an old hacksaw blade and break it into this 1 inch by 2.5 inch piece here, and I used a masonry bit and was able to bore a hole through it, and I've attached a piece of 550 cord, and to that I've attached a ferro rod, and so I can tuck this through my belt and loop it around so that I have a way to maintain my edge. It's a 6,000 grit stone, and the nice thing is as I'm using the knife, I can touch up the edge without worrying about removing too much steel and wearing the edge down. It basically just polishes the edge. So something, again, I think that gets overlooked. A lot of people will go on a trip and forget to pack a honing stone or a sharpening kit for their knives, and then you use it on the trip and suddenly realize you've rolled the edge or put a chip in it and you have no way to fix that. But just a belt kit option here. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, maybe an ounce or so, a couple of ounces, so it doesn't really add any weight to you. And of course, this is obligatory, fire steel. What bushcrafter is complete without a ferrocerium rod, right? And of course, also, what bushcrafter is complete without a Bic lighter? Now, this is something I want to open up and go through the contents of. And once I get into them, it'll make sense. I'm not sure what this pouch was originally used for. Might have held, I don't know, a PDA of some sort back when those things were popular, like Blackberries, and now everybody's smartphone is pretty much a PDA. I'm not sure, but it serves this purpose very, very well because it's only maybe 3.5 inches or so by 3.5 inches, and it's about an inch or so thick, and I'm able to fit some pretty cool essentials inside it, and it's very lightweight, and what essentials are in here will explain why it's so lightweight. So if I open it up, I'm an electrician by trade. This is a small roll of yellow electrical tape. It serves many, many purposes. I mean, for us, we call it the electrician's Band-Aid. You get a cut on your finger and you don't have time to run out and grab a first aid kit. So what do? We grab the electrical tape and wrap it around the cut, carry on with the day. But it also is a bright color, so I can mark something and this color stands out a lot. It can be used as emergency cordage in some situations. So, it's a very versatile piece of kit to have. A lot of people carry duct tape in their kits. I have duct tape in my actual full-size bushcraft kit or rucksack, but there's no sense in trying to pack a big wide strip of duct tape in here when I can accomplish some tasks with this electrical tape. So there's the electrical tape. Now when we get inside here and I pull this out, this is a Ziploc sandwich bag. I actually have two of them. One of them is inside the other. This can carry water if you need to, you know, some wild edibles or what have you, but a little sandwich bag like this is not a bad idea to have, and it, you know, kind of helps waterproof some of the rest of this little kit. Here's another one, another little Ziploc sandwich bag, and in it are some items that may not always get thought about if you're just taking a little simple stroll in the woods. However, be in a situation where you need one of these items and don't have it, and it'll be implanted in the back of your brain for the next time you just decide to go on a nature hike for an hour and a half. So I'll go through these items. First and foremost, as I mentioned, I'm an electrician by trade, so I have access to some cordage that some people wouldn't even recognize, but cordage is always an important part of any kit. You can make it in nature, of course, but in some cases it's far more, I guess, expeditious to your bushcraft journey to have cordage on you. So on this little belt pouch kit here, I've got, this is electrician's pull string for pulling wire through conduit, and it's made of like a poly nylon type material, and it's pretty strong. It'll actually withstand up to about 600 or 700 pounds of force. So it's like 550 cord, but a little better. It's not very flexible. I mean, it's flexible, but 550 cord is so malleable. One neat advantage about this, one, it's probably about 10 feet, maybe 15 feet of it, but one neat advantage of this is it can actually be broken down into finer strands. Now I'm not going to do that with this particular piece, because once you do it, there's no going back. Just like when you remove the inner core from 550 cord, you have a hard time getting it back in there. It's not physically impossible, it's just, you know, never mind, don't want to go through it. But I do have a bunch of it here that I've gone ahead and kind of broken down into smaller strands, and these individual strands, believe it or not, are actually pretty tough themselves. So this can be broken down into, I don't know, 20 or 30 individual strands of filament, and it makes a great fishing line. It'll probably withstand a 5 or 10 pound fish if you should be so lucky. But it's, like I said, it's a pretty, that was pretty good force to break it, but it's pretty resilient. And you know, you can go from having one string to, you know, 5, 6, 7 strings here, 10, 20, and again, it makes a pretty good fishing line. And but you know, if you can get your hands on this somewhere, if you happen to live somewhere where there's construction going on and you find some electricians around, you might be able to get your hands on 5 or 10 feet of this pull string. And it's a use and forget item when it comes to us electricians. We don't really save this because it comes in a 5-gallon bucket, and it is pulled from the center of that bucket to run through the conduit. And once you pull it back, it winds up being a bird nest and getting thrown away. So if you find yourself near a construction zone and there are electricians there, you know, pop over and see if they've got any pull string laying around they're about to throw away. You can get your hands on about 10 or 15 feet of this, or upwards of 50 to 100, depending on the length of conduit. Anyhow, so this pull string cordage. Next item, of course, this is about, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet of 550 cord. It's a blaze orange color, and I don't have to go into the uses of 550 cord. It's just, like I said, a piece of cordage, 7 strands inside. Going along with that cordage, I have inside here, I'll bring it closer to the camera, maybe you can see, 2 fish hooks, a small one that would probably catch a fish maybe 3 or 4 or 5 inches long at most, weighing less than a pound, and then a larger fish hook that will catch 5-10 pound fish. There's a sewing needle inside there with a little bit of artificial sinew on it, and then the small fish hook is already snelled. So this is my little sharps bag, and that it's inside a little bag to help mitigate the chance that I'll pierce the other sandwich bags. And the last thing in here is birch bark. Everybody knows that birch bark is very flammable. Burns for quite a long time, and you can almost get it soaking wet, and because of the oils in birch bark, it will still ignite. So I've got a few pieces of that in here just in case I have to start a fire. I have something to aid me in that, and maybe I don't have to spend as much time trying to process wood down into fluff in order to catch a spark or catch a flame. I've got birch bark in here. So but this is, as I said, just a small belt kit idea. I like to carry it. As I said, it doesn't take up much room on the belt, and all of the items inside here are sometimes just kind of an afterthought until you need them, whereas I like to try to plan ahead as much as possible and make my trip as smooth as it can possibly be, and anything that I can either add or take away from my kit, or use as a redundancy in my kit, just like having cordage and then the birch bark makes things a lot easier. And these are definitely a few small items that you don't realize you need them until you don't have them. So, but there are some ideas for you on your bushcraft journey. Probably one that I would emphasize more than any of the others would be carrying a small sharpening stone with you on your belt. So you're fortunate enough to set a trap and catch wild game, and you're processing that game. Having a stone to hone up your edge as you're processing game is never a bad idea, and it's not very big, and it will do the job. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Take care of yourselves and each other. And as a final thought, Mickey and Maarten, I hope you guys are doing really well. Maarten, I hope your mother's staying strong. I hope she's doing really well, and I hope you're doing as best as you can. I know that the things you're facing with your mother's condition, as well as the state the world is in thanks to the coronavirus, has got to have you stressed beyond belief. So take a breath once in a while and just try and stay strong, my friend. See you guys soon.